I'm pretty nervous going into reviewing New Vegas. The people that love this game, they absolutely adore it, and will probably show up outside my window at night ready to hang me if I say anything bad about it. And I have nothing but good things to say, but I do also have, I guess, a couple of bad things to say, so not nothing, a couple of good things to say. Anyway, New Vegas starts off all stylish, showing us New Vegas itself before zooming away and showing a grave being buried. A gun is aimed at us by these very oily, shiny looking men, and we're shot and left for dead. Bam. Title sequence. In New Vegas, we play as a courier, someone who delivers packages across the wasteland, but obviously we got involved with the wrong crowd. But we're not dead since this robot digs us up and takes us to the local doctor who fixes us up and asks us a bunch of questions like our name, to which I respond with Iggy.
I can't say it's what I'd have picked for you, but if that's your name, that's your name.
Immediately, New Vegas does an excellent job at setting itself apart from the last entry. Fallout 3 takes its time telling a story before letting us explore. We get to know these characters and watch our character grow up before things go wrong. And when we finally leave the vault, the blinding light from the sun slowly calms, which lets us take in the destroyed world around us in dramatic fashion. In New Vegas, you leave the doctor's office and are greeted by Goodsprings. No dramatic music, no bright shine from the sun, no mystical and mysterious view to catch your eye, just a tiny little town with a story to tell. And that's kind of the vibe of the entire game. Fallout New Vegas isn't filled with giant destroyed buildings and miles of dilapidated highway bridges to follow. It's filled with giant empty miles of nothing but sand and destroyed road to walk on, but there's always something off in the distance. Maybe it's a roller coaster, maybe it's a big ass dinosaur, maybe it's these giant statue guys shaking hands, or maybe it's the sight of New Vegas off in the distance. When you're brought back to life, you have one goal in mind: find Benny, the guy that shot you and left you for dead, and kill him. Which is why, in my opinion, as cool as these places are to see from afar, once you get there, they're all underwhelming at first. The roller coaster just leads to a bar where you need to save a sheriff who's being held hostage. The big ass dinosaur is just a tiny little hotel that got turned into a mini town with quiet citizens. When you finally get to New Vegas, which for me took about 8 hours, it's underwhelming visually. And I think that's why when I first played New Vegas all those years ago, I hated it. I was so bored with it. I didn't care about the story. I didn't care about the characters or the writing. But that's the problem. The story, the characters, and the writing are hands down the best in the series. So after a lot of running around and completing quest after quest after quest, I finally get to New Vegas and confront Benny. And he's like, "Whoa, how are you alive?" And he tells me to wait for him in the presidential suite. But then he's like, "JK, you're gonna die now." But we talk it out. And he's like, "Fine, I'll let you live. But I'm on the run with the platinum chip," which is like a gambling chip. It's the thing that I was delivering in the beginning of the game that got me in trouble. It's a gambling chip, but it's not. It's like a USB, and depending on who has it, it can either be really good news or really bad news. We don't want Betty to have it, but now he's on the run with it. And this guy, Mr. House, who is alive but not really, he's basically like a screen with a man's face. He's like, "I'm the guy that paid you to deliver the chip to me, so it's rightfully mine." And Benny wants it because it gives him complete control. On top of that, there are other factions who all have their own goal, and depending on who you side with, you'll get one of 4 endings. There's Caesar's Legion. These guys are evil and scary and want to kill anyone that doesn't strictly follow their beliefs. And when you first meet them, you walk into this town on fire and this guy comes running out like, "I just won the lottery." And it's like, "Okay, weirdo." But then you meet the Legion and you find them surrounded by the citizens of the town, hung up and left to die. And whoever wins the lottery is the one that gets to live. And the guy you talk to lets you live just so that you can tell others what you saw here. There's the NCR, the New California Republic, who wants to create a formal government, but they're also kind of crooked since they harass Jacobstown, which is a small town inside a big ass mansion filled with peaceful super mutants who just want to be left alone, among the NCR doing other shady government things like taxing citizens too much and abusing their power from time to time. The Brotherhood of Steel also comes out in this one, but they're very out of the way and they're hidden in a bunker collecting technology and they're staying out of the political landscape. Among all that, there are also mini factions throughout the game. There's the Boomers, who love explosives and war, and they're just a bunch of adults who act like really violent kids. Followers of the Apocalypse, who believe that all food, water, and medicine should be shared among everyone. And my personal favorite, the Kings, a bunch of Elvis impersonators who are right outside of New Vegas, and they just do their own thing, being all stylish and cool, calm, and collected. Thank you very much. Back to the story though. We chase down Benny to Caesar's Legion's camp, and he tells us that he captured Benny for us and has the platinum chip for us, but he wants us to use the platinum chip to help them take control of New Vegas. I agree, and I talked to Benny, and after a lengthy conversation, I decided to let him live because a few hours earlier he let me live and he ran away instead of having his guards kill me. I gave him a bobby pin and a stealth boy, and he couldn't wait for me to leave to use it. Like, he uses it immediately, and when he goes invisible, I just get absolutely demolished by Caesar's Legion. I am able to escape with the platinum chip in hand, and I head out to try and recruit the boomers to help take out the other factions when the war for Hoover Dam starts, which is like the whole build-up of the game. Everyone's trying to take over Hoover Dam because whoever controls Hoover Dam controls the world, baby, or at least New Vegas. I clear out some generators and I help out a bunch of citizens, and things are looking good. The boomers are starting to like me until I try to help them heal a bunch of injured and sick members, and I accidentally put one of them in a coma.
You made him worse.
And I decide to leave, and I give Mr. House the platinum chip, which helps make all the robot guards around New Vegas much stronger and more dangerous. But it's okay, because now that they're upgraded, I can sneak into the downstairs room and I kill Mr. House, where it's revealed that this is what he actually looks like.
Why have you done this?
I finish him off and take over his casino and prepare myself to take over all of the Mojave Wasteland. New Vegas is filled with fantastic story beats and natural feeling intense moments depending on the choices you make and the quests you take on, and even the side quests are perfect. Right from the beginning of the game, after talking to the doctor and setting up your character, you meet the people of Good Springs and find out they're being threatened by the powder gangers if they don't turn in this guy who's hiding in the shed, and together we recruit the town to fight back against the powder gangers when they ambush the town. There's the one where the king, leader of the kings, tells us to take his dog Rex, who is part robot, to find a new brain because his current brain is malfunctioning and he doesn't have much to live. So we embark on a cross-country journey to find the scientists hidden in the snowy mountains that can help us. And on the way, we're ambushed by wave after wave of fiends. And probably the scariest enemy in the entire game, scarier than the fucking Deathclaw, the Cazador, to which I found the most beautiful poem about. Do you see this? Do you know what this is? This is a Cazador. Its mission is to fuck shit up wherever it goes. You cannot battle the Cazador. The Cazador is never alone. It's always accompanied by other, even more violent and aggressive Cazadors, all of which are in turn accompanied by even more. Do you know what you do when you see a Cazador? You stand the fuck still. You chill the fuck out, and you hope that the Cazador doesn't put you on its list of shit to fuck today. You stand right there and wait for the Cazador to finish its business and move on with its rampage, and then you go the fuck home. It does not pollinate things. It does not make honey. It is not a bee. It is a motherfucking Cazador. And then someone online mentioned that you can just shoot the wings and they become way less dangerous. So that's fun to learn now that I'm done playing the game. We get to Jacob's Town, which I mentioned earlier, and we're able to get Rex a new brain, which I was excited about until he glitched out and just disappeared completely like 10 minutes later. Maybe it was the new brain telling him to abandon me. There's this quest, Come Fly With Me, that is half adorable and half absolutely terrifying, where these ghouls want to escape Earth because of how they're treated and because they believe in some otherworldly thing. So you help them get the rockets ready, and then they take off in their rockets to a new planet to start a new life. But in between all that, you need to explore this scary ass building with these scary ass ghouls that are way louder and faster and uglier than the ones in Fallout 3.
Were you scared? Tell me honestly.
Above all, the gameplay feels so much better than Fallout 3. It's not perfect, it's really not even all that good. It's still clunky and wonky and doesn't work as a regular first-person shooter. And it's awful as a third-person shooter, but it's the surrounding mechanics around combat and survival that lift it up even higher. First of all, weapons come with required strength now. If you're not strong enough to carry the weapon, then you can still use it, but there's going to be way more weapon sway, way more recoil. Certain weapons will take longer to fire or reload. Heavier melee weapons take longer to swing if your character don't got the muscle for it. Depending on the condition of the weapon, then you get this math equation thing telling you how much damage the weapon does based on its rate of fire, its condition, your strength, and the type of weapon that it is. I don't understand any of it. I'm not going to pretend I do. You can cook foods depending on ingredients you find. You can take apart weapons and use those pieces to craft or repair other weapons. Study ammo and create your own ammo from empty shells. You can get poisoned, which then has you fighting for your life to keep yourself alive until the poison wears off. Or you can use anti-venom and then use the poison from the poisonous creatures to craft your own anti-venom. When you talk to companions, you get this big ass menu filled with options and ways to interact with them. Also, yes, I had this sick cowboy hat and this sick cowboy outfit. And yes, before you ask, I think he's hot god and I want him to destroy my ass. Fallout New Vegas has 4 DLCs, so let's not waste any time and jump right into them. And I've never played any of these, so considering how much I ended up loving New Vegas, I can't help but be excited for these.
It's a sin, my darling, how I love you, because I know.
Honest Heart starts off with us traveling with this ragtag group of people across a dangerous mountainside, and I'd be lying if I said I knew what we were doing here. I think maybe I'm supposed to be protecting them, but if that's the case, then my bad, because they were all dead like 5 minutes after the DLC started. I'm gonna try to explain the story to the best of my ability, but I absolutely encourage everyone to go watch a more in-depth explanation, because these DLCs are meaty with plot, and I'm gonna skip over a lot. So basically, before the original New Vegas begins, Caesar of Caesar's Legion was a part of the Followers of the Apocalypse. And as I said earlier, the Followers of the Apocalypse are the closest to good guys you're gonna find in the world of Fallout. They make sure everyone eats, gets an education, medical attention, a place to sleep. They teach everyone how to survive, fight, and be able to fend for themselves. Caesar meets this guy Joshua Graham during their time in the Followers of the Apocalypse, and together they learn all of the teachings and are able to start taking over parts of New Vegas, and they start recruiting people for their own little clan, Caesar's Legion, where they slaughter and torture people who don't follow them. Now that's what you do. That's what you do with an education right there. Before the main game starts, there's the battle for Hoover Dam between Caesar's Legion and the NCR, with Joshua leading the charge on Caesar's Legion side, but they lose the battle, and as punishment, Caesar sets Joshua on fire and throws him off a cliff, but he survives, becoming a legend among not just the Legion, but all across New Vegas, and now being known as the Burned Man. This is where we meet the 3 different clans: the Sorrows, who live here and they want to live in peace; the Dead Horses, who are also part of the Sorrows, but they have different spiritual beliefs and aren't afraid of getting their hands dirty; and the White Legs, who want to kill everyone to prove themselves worthy of joining Caesar's Legion. It's here where we also meet the 2 leaders of the Sorrows and the Dead Horses: Joshua Graham, aka the Burn Man, who wants to kill all of the White Legs and defend the home of the Sorrows, and Daniel, who wants to peacefully evacuate the Sorrows and Dead Horses and find them a new home. But let's start with the new environment. This DLC takes place in the Canyon of Zion, and it looks fantastic. I love this area. It's beautiful and filled with tons of mysterious and interesting caves to explore, and there's even these terminals in the caves that tell a story about a man who survived in the caves right after the bombs fell and described what it was like. The enemies are all creatures we've already seen in the base game aside from the White Legs, but as the first DLC that I played through, this one does a great job at introducing us to a few new characters and fun objectives and good gameplay, shootouts, and an interesting story. You've got characters like the Burn Man, who is rightfully a badass, and you're like, hell yeah, let's fight for our home. But you also understand where Daniel's coming from and wanting to run away peacefully, because the Sorrows are some of the last people in the world to still have that childlike innocence of not wanting to kill. In the end, we get the choice to either run away or fight, and I choose to fight because fuck yeah, murder. So we kill all the White Legs and we take back our land, and then we learn that because of our actions, the Canyon of Zion becomes a safe and flourishing land where outsiders start visiting and trading with the locals. But tensions between the Sorrows and the Dead Horses begin to grow, with violent outbursts between the two becoming a more common thing. Joshua ends up living in peace and decides to leave violence behind him, but Daniel, who can't take the 2 clans going against each other, watching them slowly become more violent while choosing to follow Joshua. Yeah, so he goes home and he's just haunted by my decision for the rest of his life. And when I saw that, I couldn't help but sit back and think like, damn, my bad. I did not mean to make you feel that bad. Goddamn. Overall, Honest Hearts is a memorable and fantastic start to the DLCs, and I'm excited to see what's next. Dead Money starts off with us following the signal and being jump scared so hard that we pass out.
Came through.
Hold, it's fine.
I knew it was gonna do that.
You're fine. Let's just go kill the boss's wife.
Jesus Christ.
We wake up, we're in the Sierra Madre. It's probably pronounced Madre. Everyone in the game pronounces it Madre, but my mouth just rolls the R, so I'm sorry if I say it wrong, okay? Our clothes are taken, our weapons are gone, and we have a collar around our neck that's gonna explode and kill us if we don't do what we're being told to do. Father Elijah wants us to recruit 3 other people trapped in the Sierra Madre with their own collars and rob the Sierra Madre casino for him. It's a story that starts off fairly basic, and by the end there are so many layers to it, and it starts to weave this big ass story that goes back to the base game and the other DLCs. I love everything about this DLC. Sierra Madre itself is a terrifying place. There's this red mist that kills you if you stand too long inside of it. There's radio scattered all over the place that will blow up your collar if you don't find and turn the radio off in time. There's traps all over the place that take off a huge chunk of your health, and the enemies introduced in this DLC have to be some of my favorite enemies in the entire series. The way they move is freaky and supernatural like. They do a bunch of damage and have cool weapons, and when you kill them, they don't actually die. They pass out for a few seconds and then they come back to hunt you down again and again until you get a weapon strong enough to rip off their head, which is the only way to kill them, or blow off any body part really. You really just want to blow off a body part here. One of my biggest complaints about Fallout in general is just how much downtime there could be between interesting locales. I love the world, I love exploring, but sometimes a 10-minute walk in a big ass open area does start feeling a bit redundant. Meanwhile, this DLC feels like it never lets me just stop and breathe for even a minute. I would go down an alleyway and there would be enemies who damaged me while I was fighting them, but there's also the red mist that's taking away another chunk of my health. So I run off in a different direction hoping to heal, but then I start hearing beeping and static, which means I only have a few seconds to leave the area or find the radio and turn it off before my collar explodes and kills me. And this is a huge chunk of the experience, just running for your life, barely having enough health to fight enemies, always trying to find some kind of anything to heal up and stay alive. It genuinely feels like a survival horror experience with a creepy soundtrack, fantastic visuals, one of my favorite stories in the series so far, and some of the best characters yet. Old World Blue starts off with us checking out this satellite and being knocked out, and then waking up and finding out these robot scientists perform a lobotomy on us and they took out our brain. But they're not really bad guys. They kind of just want to understand humans because, I mean, they think our hands, our fingers are penises.
I don't recall the human penis ever being that large.
No, it's holding up an array of fully erect hand penises. If it tries to insert them, activate vivisectors.
Let's get the main thing out of the way. The story here, compared to everything that we've been given so far, it sucks. It's not really interesting and the missions don't complement them at all. With that being said, who cares? This DLC is so immature and funny, but there are still moments where things get dark, followed by immediate humor that always feels well written and natural to the environment and situation. You get a handful of amazing new weapons, this proton axe that damages robots, and one of the most badass weapons ever, the K9000 Cyberdog gun, which has a dog's brain inside of it, so it also has a dog's personality. It growls whenever there's an enemy around, it has little ears that move around, and it whimpers whenever you swap it for another gun. You get new outfits, and you can even do these challenges that let you upgrade the outfits and weapons to unlock new areas or give you advanced stealth abilities, etc, etc. One of the challenges to upgrade one of the guns reveals that they've been torturing and experimenting on dogs and turning them into these night stalker creatures. There's also this toaster that wants to destroy everything and it thinks it's the deadliest thing on the planet.
You want some weapon schematics? I can show you some fucking weapon schematics. You want a superheated Saturnite power fist? I can hook that shit up!
I think the environments look great and it's fun to look at, and in a game that has absolutely pulled off the sci-fi cowboy style, having a DLC that goes all in on the sci-fi stuff feels fitting. So this is it, the grand finale, my final journey through the wasteland. It's all been leading to this. All the DLCs have been getting better and better, and I can't wait to see this huge epic story wrap up. So Lonesome Road starts off with us going into this building and discovering EDE, a cute little robot that does happy beeps when he's happy and sad beeps when he's sad. And I'm a sucker for cute innocent robots, so immediately I love them. Eventually I'm contacted by Ulysses, what the fuck, who's using EDE to talk to me, and turns out this guy has been everywhere I've been. The DLC locations, he's been there. The main game locations, he's been there. He's been waiting for me, keeping track and passing along the message to me that we'd eventually have to meet and face off. And oh snap, was he someone that was important to Father Elijah? Maybe he worked with Mr. House. Maybe he was in the Brotherhood of Steel or a part of Caesar's Legion. The imagination runs wild. No, turns out before the game starts, our character delivers a package to the Divide, which is where the DLC takes place. The thing we didn't know was that the package we delivered was filled with bombs that went off once we left the Divide and absolutely destroyed the area and killed everyone. And Ulysses wants revenge for us doing that. Like, huh? We were just doing our job. We didn't know what was in the damn package, you little bitch. I guess a cool connection to the base game is that the chip we were delivering at the start of the game was originally supposed to be delivered by this guy, but he was like, nah, I don't really feel like it. So that's when we got chosen and all the dominoes started falling. But damn, this DLC is underwhelming. The Divide looks cool, don't get me wrong. It's destroyed and depressing, and it really does feel like a damn nuke fell in this area, and it's like, damn, I delivered that nuke. But Ulysses, honestly comes off as a bitch. He's all dark and brooding, but the thing is, the connection and motivation just isn't there. He's mad at us for doing our job. Like, why not go after the people who hired us to deliver the package? This is such a disappointing way to end the DLCs, and I kind of wish they just kept Father Elijah alive and had him play a part of this DLC instead, because he's such a great villain compared to this fart.